Relationship building, overcoming common challenges. In this activity, you can choose to explore common challenges you may encounter as a mentor and learn practical solutions to strengthen your relationship with your mentee. This activity is entirely self-guided. You pick the challenges you'd like to explore and the solutions you'd like to hear more about. To get started, simply click on a scenario you'd like to explore first. After you run through each scenario, you'll return to this menu to select another. Your mentee has a hard time opening up. When you meet with your mentee, he doesn't talk much and responds to questions with short yes, no, or indifferent responses. This makes it difficult to find common ground and connect. Behind the scenes. Often when a mentee has a hard time opening up in conversation, he has low self-confidence and fears being judged. The low self-confidence often leads to fear of not being accepted or liked. Your mentee may have difficulty trusting you because he may have been let down before. Alternatively, your mentee may have been raised with different cultural norms than you and may interact with adults in a way that seems foreign to you. Take the pressure off. Start the relationship by doing fun things together, like going bowling, attending a movie, or playing your favorite board game. At first, don't put too much pressure on in-depth conversation. Instead, talk about what you're doing together and what your mentee likes. If you don't have time for a fun and activity-focused event, try taking a walk and talking, or driving. Movement and lack of eye contact can make conversation less intimidating. Timing can be everything. Be patient and do not force conversation. If you think cultural differences may be at play, talk to your case manager to gain a better understanding of the cultural assumptions and expectations that could be affecting your relationship. Empower your mentee. Let your mentee have a majority of the control over what you two talk about and how you talk about it. Ask your mentee's opinion on subjects, anything from stories in the news to music on the radio. If you ask a question, answer the question. For instance, if you ask your mentee about his favorite board game, tell him about your favorite board game. This can keep your mentee from feeling as though he is on the hot seat all the time. Build trust with your mentee by encouraging him to talk about anything. Keep his confidence. Practice, don't preach. Remember that you are not a parent or an authority figure. You are a mentor and are there as a role model to demonstrate your values, not to preach about them. Try listening twice as much as you speak. Open up. Ask open-ended questions. Practice reflective listening. One way to show your mentee that you are listening is to reflect back what you hear. For example, say, "It sounds like you feel frustrated by what happened." By summarizing what you hear from his perspective, you can validate his feelings and help him grapple with complex and confusing situations. Tell your mentee about some of the challenges you faced and what you learned from the experience. Choose your challenge. Click on the scenario you would like to explore next. Your mentee falls out of contact. Your mentee does not return your phone calls or emails. He cancels plans at the last minute, or she doesn't show up for planned activities. Behind the scenes. This scenario may be happening because your mentee feels overwhelmed and may not see the benefit of the meetings, or your mentee may be slipping into old patterns of behavior. Don't take it personally. Take the opportunity to ask your mentee why she hasn't stayed in contact and what you can do to help. For instance, is there a certain communication method, such as text message, email, or phone, that your mentee prefers. Is there a certain time or day of the week that is better than others? Talk to your case manager and find out if there are any issues or challenges going on that you may not be aware of. Focus on fun. Focus your gatherings on hanging out and having fun together. Try letting your mentee choose the activity. When talking with your mentee, wait for her to ask your opinion before you offer it. Do not preach your values, just live them. Be persistent. You are the adult. Take responsibility for making and maintaining contact. Set clear expectations and boundaries with your mentee and live up to your commitments. Don't let your mentee off the hook. Remind her of the commitment she made and why she made it. Choose your challenge. Click on the scenario you would like to explore next. Your mentee tests you. Your mentee shuns your advice. He lies to you. She loses her temper and takes things out on you. He may also ask inappropriate things of you, such as to borrow money or to cover for him in a lie. Your mentee tests you. Young people who have been hurt or let down by adults often expect to be rejected or abandoned by any adult in their life. This scenario may be happening because your mentee expects you to leave and is testing your commitment to the relationship. Cool down. Take time to gather your thoughts or seek advice before reacting. Talk to your case manager or a trusted friend. Think twice before talking to his parents. You want to build trust first and foremost. Involving his parents will risk alienating him from you. Try not to take it personally. For many mentors and mentees, this challenge is a normal phase in the relationship building process. Set clear boundaries. Set clear expectations and boundaries. Have a frank discussion about what you expect and ask your mentee what he expects from you. Consider writing these expectations on a piece of paper, creating a friendship agreement. Be accountable. Model the traits you wish your mentee to adopt, rather than lecture about it. If you make mistakes, own up to it and apologize. Reaffirm your commitment. Reaffirm your intention to stay in the relationship. Point out the positive shifts you are seeing in his life or behavior. Choose your challenge. Click on the scenario you would like to explore next. You feel overwhelmed. As a mentor working with adolescents, it is easy to feel overwhelmed sometimes. You may feel like you have too many commitments and fear that you do not have enough time to manage everything. You may feel defeated by the number or complexity of challenges facing your mentee. You feel overwhelmed. You may be setting the bar pretty high for yourself. The expectations you feel are coming from the program, or your mentee may or may not be as intense as they feel right now. For instance, you may feel like you need to fix something for your mentee, or act like a professional counselor. You may worry that you are the only person your mentee has to rely on. Friends don't fix. Remember, the role of the mentor is not to fix anything. The primary responsibility of a mentor is to be a good friend and a source of positive encouragement. Treat your mentee as capable. Believe in him and help him believe in himself. Set limits. Encourage your mentee to broaden and enhance his support network. Are there other adults or friends he can rely on, such as former coaches or teachers or family members? Set limits around the frequency and duration of visits and make sure the expectations are clear. Be honest and open about your obligations and how you prioritize your commitments. Clearly communicate what you can, cannot, or have to do. Ask for feedback. Take the time to ask your mentee for feedback on your mentorship and ask for additional insight on other ways to improve the relationship. If your mentee is uncomfortable providing this kind of feedback, talk to your case manager. Your case manager may be able to share her perspective on the impact you are having. Choose your challenge. Click on the scenario you would like to explore next. You aren't seeing the progress you expected. Your mentee has not changed or grown in the ways you expected. She may be falling behind on her goals, and she may not seem to appreciate all you are doing for her. You aren't seeing the progress you expected. This scenario is difficult because you have the best of intentions. You want your mentee to have a bright and incredible future, and you may want to be the force that helps her get there. You may also unconsciously expect your mentee, an adolescent, to behave like an adult and to express her gratitude as an adult would. Check yourself. One of the key reasons a mentoring relationship ends prematurely is because the mentor expects to reform or fix the mentee. What kind of gratification have you been expecting? Do you think it is possible that you've been unrealistic about the impact you can have? You are, after all, only one person. She has a lot of other competing interests and issues that impact her behavior. Remind yourself that this is not about you. This is about being a positive force in the life of an adolescent that is struggling to change her life. Adolescents are often not capable of providing feedback and reassurance. Just because the youth is reserved or quiet does not mean she is indifferent. If you need some feedback, ask your case manager what your mentee has said about you. Be patient. While the changes your mentee experienced during the residential phase may have been dramatic, changes in the post-residential phase may be more subtle. Keep in mind that sustained change is difficult and usually involves a lot of setbacks. Dr. Nancy Darling said, mentoring may be more like the slow accumulation of pebbles that sets off an avalanche than the baseball bat that propels a ball from the stadium. Focus on your commitment. Measure your impact by your commitment, not by your mentee's behavior. Your success as a mentor is not determined by the success of your mentee. Think about the adults you looked up to as an adolescent. Did you show your gratitude to your informal mentors? Do you think your mentors understood or directly observed the scope and extent of their positive impact? Sometimes it takes a more mature perspective to value what others have done for you and to express gratitude. Support your mentee when she makes mistakes as well as when she succeeds. Choose your challenge. Click on the scenario you would like to explore next. Your mentee talks to you about risky behaviors. Your mentee confides in you that he is thinking about engaging in high-risk behavior such as drinking alcohol, having sex, taking drugs, or hanging out with a dangerous peer group. Your mentee talks to you about risky behaviors. Although hearing this can be scary, it is a sign of something positive. Your mentee trusts you and values your opinion. You're probably worried about how to react, what to say. You may feel tempted to lecture your mentee, and you may struggle with finding a way to share your own personal experiences. Ask questions. Focus on asking open-ended, non-judgmental questions that will help your mentee. Understand what is really motivating him. Understand what consequences he might be faced with. Reflect on his past decisions and the consequences he dealt with. Understand his options. And finally, see the bigger picture. Hold your opinion. Wait for him to ask your opinion before you offer it. Resist the urge to lecture. Rather than tell him what to do, share a personal experience that you learned from. Sharing your own stories of personal consequences may provide a way for you to weigh in without being preachy. Keep his confidence. If you want him to talk to you the next time something big comes up, you need to keep his trust. Keep his confidence unless he is a serious danger to himself or someone else. If a situation needs reporting, please contact your case manager or the appropriate mental health or law enforcement professional immediately. If you are a mandated reporter because of your job or the regulations of your local ChalleNGe program, make sure and tell your mentee about this requirement up front. Don't wait until after your mentee has confided in you to let him know you have to report him. Choose your challenge. Click on the scenario you would like to explore next. Your mentee tells you about abuse or trauma she has suffered. She talks to you about being physically, sexually, or emotionally abused. Please note that while we use the female pronoun in this scenario, many boys and young men experience abuse and trauma as well. Talk to your case manager to learn more about how you can support a young person confronting these challenges. Behind the scenes. Your mentee is disclosing this information because she trusts you, needs someone to listen, and may need your help intervening. You may not know how to react and may be concerned that the abuse is still happening. You may be confused about who to involve in this situation and when. Listen. Focus on reflective listening and asking open-ended questions. Reflective listening is really powerful in these situations. People in crisis have a strong need to be understood. Reflect back what you are hearing to let them know that you understand what is being shared. Pay attention to body language when you are in person. Some people appreciate contact when they are reliving or talking about trauma, and other people need space. If you are unsure of what your mentee needs, then ask. Avoid judgment. Be careful to avoid judgment. People who have experienced abuse sometimes react in self-destructive ways. Try to be understanding if she admits to mistakes she has made as a result of carrying this burden. Do not take it personally if your mentee takes her feelings out on you. Reliving or talking about trauma can stimulate a lot of conflicting emotions. Sometimes people lash out or lose their temper at people they trust and care about in times of crisis. Help find help. Help your mentee identify sources of strength. After she has finished talking about the situation, ask her what she can do when she gets overwhelmed by it again, including people to talk to and healthy activities she can engage in. If your mentee is interested in seeking professional counseling, ask her if she would like help identifying potential counselors or making the first appointment. Sometimes taking those first steps are the biggest hurdles to overcome. Talk to your case manager. The case manager can support you, your mentee, and provide additional resources. If you think someone may need to intervene in an ongoing abusive relationship, talk to your case manager as they can help determine what to do and when. Remember, if you are a mandated reporter because of your job or state law, please let your mentee know at the beginning of your relationship. If you have to report what you hear, she needs to know that before she decides to confide in you. Choose your challenge. Click on the scenario you would like to explore next. Your mentee needs career guidance. Your mentee is having a hard time finding a job. He's unhappy in his job, or she is having a hard time adjusting to her new job. Behind the scenes. Your mentee may have a good deal of fear and anxiety around interviewing or working. Your mentee may not have a clear idea of what is possible for him at this stage in his life. He may have had unrealistic expectations and may have a hard time adjusting to working with the boss and other coworkers. Ask about his interests. Ask questions about your mentee's skills and interest. Practice reflective listening. Reflect back what you're hearing. For example, it sounds like you really like working with your hands. Is that true? Find an online career assessment tool or ask your case manager for additional career resources. Expose him to new opportunities. Ask your friends or colleagues to give your mentee a tour or an informational interview in a field of interest. Help your mentee create discussion questions for the informational interview and conduct mock interviews with him to help think through answers to possible interview questions. Teach him how to research potential careers and jobs. Share your experiences and the lessons you learned about coping in a difficult work environment. Discuss the fact that every job or other social situation might bring us into contact with people we don't like. Quitting is often the easiest option, but learning how to deal with the situation is usually more rewarding in the long run. Choose your challenge. Click on the scenario you would like to explore next. Your mentee needs help transitioning to independence. Your mentee is thinking about moving out of her parents' home, is having a hard time managing her money, or is trying to figure out what friends to live with. Behind the scenes. This is a big step, and your mentee is most likely feeling a bit of anxiety about this decision. With anxiety often comes an inability to clearly weigh all the consequences of a decision. You may be worried about whether your mentee is ready for this transition. Be supportive. Ask open-ended questions to help her determine why she wants to be more independent and what concerns or fears may be surfacing. Talk to her about how she set goals during the residential phase and accomplished things that she never thought she could do. Remind her that she finished a very tough program. Ask her questions about what she accomplished and feels the most proud about. Most importantly, treat her as capable and let her know that you have faith in her decisions. Teach new skills. Help your mentee create a budget for food, transportation, rent, etc. Set up a bank account or try online banking. Help assess opportunities. Help your mentee assess how certain decisions could impact her life, such as who she lives with, where she lives, whose name is on the bills, who is responsible for chores. Visit different apartment complexes with your mentee and help her get all the information she needs to make the best decision. Ask your case manager if there are any local nonprofits that offer assistance, information, or support to young people transitioning to independence. Choose your challenge. Click on the scenario you would like to explore next. You're experiencing friction with the parent. A number of challenging scenarios can arise between you and your mentee's parent. For example, your mentee's parent asks you to discipline or give a hard talking to your mentee. Your mentee's parent asks too much of you. Your mentee's parent directly or indirectly discourages your mentee from spending time with you. Or you disagree with some of the parent's decisions or actions. Behind the scenes. There are a few things that could be going on beneath the surface that can cause tension between you and your mentee's parent. The parent may not fully understand the role of a mentor and may see you as an additional parental figure or an extension of themselves. The parent may feel threatened by how close you are to her child, and she may feel jealous or insecure about your relationship. Alternatively, the parent may be excited about the impact you are having and may want you to play an even bigger and maybe inappropriate role in the family life. Conflicting values and priorities can also cause tension between the mentor and parent. You may not approve of all of the decisions the parent makes, and you may feel frustrated by her behavior towards your mentee. Talk to your case manager. Your case manager can help explain the appropriate role of a mentor to the parent and can intervene in difficult situations. Focus on friendship. Remind the parent that your role is to be a friend to your mentee. That is your only responsibility and your primary concern. Explain how taking a disciplinary role could compromise your friendship and the trust you've worked so hard to establish. If the parent continues to press you, ask your case manager to intervene. Stay removed. Even if you strongly disagree with the decisions or behavior of your mentee's parent, do not communicate that to your mentee. Listen if your mentee wants to talk about it and help her sort out her own feelings, but do not offer your opinion on family issues. You'll do yourself and your mentee a disservice if you come in between her and her parent. For instance, rather than offer your opinion or judgment, ask your mentee what she would do differently as a parent. Encourage her to reflect on the kind of life and relationships she wants for herself in the future. Choose your challenge. Click on the scenario you would like to explore next. Thank you for participating in this training. Remember, your case manager is the best person for you to discuss these and other challenges with. Contact your case manager today with any questions or concerns.